have 2 houses which you own.
I don't stay in either of the houses. I stay in a rented house. 10 lakhs piece of land has become about 60 or 70 lakhs today. I invested in Tata Elxsi when Tata Elxsi was 110 rupees.
And how much is it today?
I think it hovers between 7,500 to 9,000.
Knowing what you went through, would you have started it again?
Today, we have Suhasini Sampath, co-founder of Yoga Bar, a popular healthy food brand. Suhasini's entrepreneurial journey reached a significant milestone when she sold her company to ITC for a staggering 500 crores. In this episode, we'll delve into Suhasini's time at Yoga Bar, her smart financial decisions, and the successful investments that paid off along the way.
Tell me about that day where you cracked that deal, 500 crores.
I don't think the personal wealth was anything that came, like I didn't think about that at all.
You didn't think about the money.
I think you should learn to not compete with other people.
Yes, that's very, very important.
So I'm not on any social media channel. Like I don't have an Insta account. I don't have a personal Facebook account. I've never done any of that. I have a LinkedIn profile. For me, that is not to see what anybody else is up to. It's to communicate stuff about the brand and the position I'm in. It's useful for the brand that I'm there.
So you're saying social media kind of brings in that comparison with other people, which inherently leads to unhappiness and sadness.
Yeah,
100% agree.
Plus, you don't compare with your closest circle. Social media is, of course, a little bit more distant. You can't look at Bill Gates and be like, he has so much of money, where am I, right? But you can look at your friend, or you can look at, but one should consciously not do that.
So now if I were to ask you, I'm making 50K per month, I'm not happy, right? I want to sort of become a millionaire, right? In the next 20 years.
Yeah.
What are the things that they can do to change their life around and eventually become a crorepati or a millionaire?
I am not a spender. If you ask me, the number one way to grow money is to compound money. And if you want to compound money, save money, because when you have the opportunity to invest, first, if you're having a 50,000 income, spend 15,000. If you can, stay with your parents, get food from your parents, don't have a budget more than 10,000, save 40,000 every month. That's how I lived. So you have a corpus of 4 lakh to 4.8 lakhs that you're saving every year.
But my parents are living in a tier 2, tier 3 town.
Okay.
They can't come to the city and I have to fend for myself. So I have to pay rent. Another condition I'm putting for.
Okay. So you have like 8,000 kind of PG kind of you stay. You spend on your food. Transport, of course, gets reimbursed by the office. Spend 20K. 30K you can still save.
Okay.
30K that you save compounds to 3.6 lakhs. A little bit more, 4 lakhs. 30,000 into 12, 3.6 lakhs.
Okay.
3.6 lakh in 8 years' time, if you invest in the index at 12% return, already comes to
10 lakhs.
Yeah. But this money, you won't stay at a 50,000 salary. That salary will keep increasing, right? You also have to find clever ways to invest. So what did I do? I invested 10 lakhs, my 2 years saving, in a plot of land in the outskirts of the city. So I bought about, I think, 1,200 square feet of land very close to the airport, because it was announced that a new airport was coming. And that 10 lakhs piece of land has become about 60 or 70 lakhs today.
Over what time period?
I would say this is about a 8-year term.
Okay.
8 years. Okay. So if you're somebody who's hungry for money, make sure that you are understanding investment opportunities. There will be bets, risky bets that you will need to take that you believe is the future. It again comes back to thinking about the future. Right. And those opportunities are available in real estate. They're available in the stock market. They're available everywhere. But you need to have a thesis. You need to study historicals. Study the stocks that have been multi-baggers in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Study analyst reports of why those stocks were multi-baggers.
Okay.
And try to equip yourself with the knowledge of why certain companies performed really well and see the trend. It could be so many different things. It could be that they were a monopolist in one market. And then you predict if that's the way the future is going to be. If I had to study what Jhunjhunwala, I would know that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala picked Titan. He and his wife, I think, own 5% in Titan. I think Titan was a great stock back in the day, because I also knew that jewelry purchasing, the way they... What did Titan do really well, right? Tanishq do really well. They made a brand out of something that Indians were always buying, and they added trust to it. Now, you need to take a position that will this work, or that's the risk, but at least you know that very good management backs the idea. I would also, if you also want to make money, you have to find a part-time job. If your sole objective in life is to accumulate wealth, then you substitute in the early years time for money. So don't spend your week, find a way to make money over your weekends. Like see if you can freelance, see if you can develop a skill that gives you that money and all of those things.
Tell me, how are you managing this money?
So I'm a chartered accountant, right? So I think there are a couple of, like income tax loves you, like you have 2 houses, whatever capital gains you get, you can set off one set of capital gains by buying up to 2 houses.
So you bought 2 houses?
Yeah, I did.
To save the taxes?
I don't stay in either of the houses. I stay in a rented house.
You have 2 houses which you own, but you stay in a rented house?
I stay in a rented house.
Because you're giving those 2 houses on rent?
Yeah, those are rented out. The way you look at real estate, and Bangalore is not... the way I looked at it, way I looked at a real estate investment is, first of all, you have to make sure that the documents are completely clean, right?
Right.
But the second thing that you do is you find the deals where the per square feet price of the apartment is actually lower than the per square feet price of the undivided share of land. Now, no one's ever looked at it like that, but I understand.
Can you dive deeper? What do you mean by undivided? What is that term you used?
UDS.
UDS. Undivided?
Share of land.
Undivided share of land. So what I'm assuming is that if there's an apartment.
Yeah.
In terms, basically how much portion of the land
belongs to you.
If you're living in an apartment.
Yeah.
That is the UDS.
Yeah.
So you're telling the price per square feet of
the properties that I purchased, I would actively check if the UDS on the flat, if my per square feet rate on the flat was actually lower than the per square feet rate on the land.
Okay.
Now, what does this mean? If there are 6 flats, for instance, in a piece of land, if all the 6 flats got demolished, I would actually make much more money with selling that piece of land collectively, because I would get a certain portion of the proceeds from selling that apartment. The place of property that I bought, the UDS, the per square feet price is 50,000 per square feet for a square feet.
Okay.
I bought it at 10,000 rupees a square feet. For a flat, fully done.
The flat was 10,000 rupees per square feet, but the land value which you would get if the building was demolished would be 50,000 rupees per square feet.
Yeah.
But the reverse also could happen if you pick the wrong flat in Bangalore.
I think at some point of time, there is a possibility that things get demolished and people want to construct something else. And then there is this much disparity in the per square feet purchase price and per square feet land price.
No wonder you're getting stressed because you're going too deep with your investments.
I'm not worried about whether the money will last or doesn't last. But I think if you're doing something, you should do it properly. Like investing mat karo. Like if you don't want to keep it in an FD, but if you are making that choice to do it properly. I mean, that's the perspective.
Okay, so one thing is you invested in some land, right, to reduce your tax outgo. What else did you do to invest the money?
Index funds, because I actually think if you have like a mutual fund actually managing your portfolio and they've invested in the index, and I'm very bullish on India's future.
So what do you do?
I divide the money. I put some of it in like very, very safe investment.
Okay.
Like you'll have like a AAA rated loan instrument, which can give you like a bond. So you'll park some of that in that, but you have to make sure that you know the tenure of getting out, because you also have penalty clauses for pre-closure, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to make 20%. I think a good return is 12% post-tax, and I optimize for that.
After, you're saying with the bonds or after investing it in equity?
It'll keep going, no? Like you'll start with a 90% bond, 10% thing, and then you'll move. So 90%
bond, 10% equity, and you'll keep moving from bonds to equity.
You'll keep doing that. At any given point of time, you will have a profile. So you'll have some portion in real estate, you'll have some portion in very, very safe investments. That could be even FDs or whatever.
So can you tell me what's your asset allocation?
So right now, because of the capital gains saving, obviously like a large part of it is on real estate. I would say 50% is probably in real estate.
Okay.
20% is in really safe asset and 30% is on the index. Money is actually very logical. Like you price risk and you price return. There's only that much. Like making money has only 2 concepts. How much risk are you willing to take? How much return are you willing to take? And you price this. My ability to price risk and return is quite good.
So you're telling me that you're so good that you've never ever lost money in any investment?
I don't know if I'm so good, but I can factually say I've never lost money on an investment. But that's because of my ability to price risk and return. Like, for example, if I've done a couple of startup investments or whatever, I'm the kind of person where I will get out. Like, once I get a certain threshold of return, I won't, when I know that the risk outweighs the return, I will get out. If I think, like even
can you give me an example? Like, do you invest in individual stocks? So can you tell me about your best investment in stock?
I invested in Tata Elxsi when Tata Elxsi was 110 rupees.
And how much is it today?
I think it hovers between 7,500 to 9,000. I know that I made a return of about 150x.
Over what time period?
2009, maybe 2009, 2000.
15-year period, 16-year period.
Yeah, with no intention for me to actually make money out of that investment.
And how much had you invested?
I invested about 7 lakhs.
So that became close to 1.5
CR. Yeah, with no intention for me to actually make money out of that investment. I just invested because I thought... So I'll tell you my thesis. So the reason why I invested in Tata Elxsi was, first of all, because it's a Tata company. I felt like Tata has always delivered to shareholders. And I invested in Tata Motors before that. So I knew and I saw some traction on that stock. So obviously Tata Group introducing Elxsi. I was thinking it's a future-oriented bet for Tata Elxsi because they were doing technology services or whatever. It seemed to me that given how Tata has done in they either play the long game and they play it very aggressively. I was willing to play the long game with that stock. It made sense to get in. And I think at that point in time, I read who their key management people were and all of that, who's running the business, what is their conviction for the business. And that's the reason.
So you went through the annual reports and all of that.
I probably invested in Tata Elxsi when it was still just getting, they were just setting up the idea and they started kind of floated a company. There might have been one or I don't remember now, but yeah, something like that. But my thought process is management needs to be great. It's a service that needs to make sense. And it needs to be something future oriented, something that can happen. If you want to get a multi-bagger, it needs to be something where you think the future will move that way.
So if you look at today's India, 2024, what are those kind of sectors that you think that will just really boom and we should invest in these kind of companies in these sectors?
I think retail has some way to go. I do think there'll be a couple of listings of companies.
What do you mean by retail, for the audience?
I think quick commerce is very interesting. I think
commerce.
I think it will be the future.
Blinkit and Zeptos of the world.
Yeah, but I'm not commenting on the valuation. I don't know how much of... It depends on your risk appetite, how much...
No, I agree. I mean, it's going to disrupt the normal commerce as well. A lot of high-ticket items are also now going on quick commerce.
But I'm also a fan of the DMart model. I think the way they have... They speak to a certain India. So I'm bullish on valuations apart. So I'm not commenting on the valuation. But I think people who disrupt commerce is very, very interesting.
Commerce basically allowing people to buy stuff.
Way of buying stuff. Yeah.
Way of buying stuff.
Yeah.
Anybody who is going to disrupt in that space is going to...
very interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
But how do you go beyond that? Getting stuff within 5 minutes, that's one. Is there any way to disrupt that even further?
I think you could use AI-assisted buying. Okay. Imagine a company that comes up and does AI-assisted buying.
You don't even need to know what you want. The AI is going to tell.
They already project what your basket needs to look like.
And it's automatically buying stuff for you.
Automatically, somebody like me doesn't even want to spend it. I spend it 5 times a day, kind of buying.
Got it. So can you tell me what is that annual income after which you think money is not necessary for basic sustenance?
I would say in our country, I would probably peg it at about 40 to 50,000 per month if you have one kid. A person who's earning 50,000 can provide, he's no longer utilizing time to do things just to keep the family going because food is there. You'll get basic shelter between 7,500 to 10,000 rupees. You'll be able to provide food for a family of 3 people at about 5,000 to 6,000 rupees. You will be able to take care of the education of one kid within that money, and you'll have about 10% or 15% of your savings saved.
Any learnings that you have of running this company? Was it as hard or as easy as you expected it to be? What was the...
Oh my God. If you ask me that question, I'm just going to say hard so many times that you're going to have...
with knowing what you went through, would you have started it again?
The answer for most entrepreneurs would probably be no.
But what is it? What was so difficult in the last 14 years that makes you say this?
I think it's the ups and downs of business because also we were a funded company. So there's also the pressure of always growing. There's also this vision you have, right? I want to make this company 1,000 crores in X amount of time. So there is the disappointment of not having achieved how much you think you should have achieved, parameters that you set for yourself. There is the onslaught of very large companies who don't actually have, who do things so differently from you and will not allow you to rise. There is that to deal with.
That happens as well?
It happens at the stage of company that we are in. Like, it's difficult today as we sit and speak. I do believe that the pursuit of life should be larger. Making a difference, leaving a lasting impression, and being good with your interactions and getting a good night's sleep is often underrated. And I would say...
Any lasting words before we end the podcast?
I used to maintain a gratitude journal, and like several years, like when I look at it, I realize there are so many things that we take for granted. And I believe like when you write a gratitude journal, you will never make an entry in that book saying that I had this much money. That's not what you'll be grateful for. Yeah. You'll be grateful for the nice things that people do. And that's often a reminder of, the things that are actually fulfilling in life.
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked to journal. I did like 2 days. I think I'm going to do it tonight. All right. Well, I think I've had a wonderful time talking to you. You're a very, very, I would say, definitely intelligent, super intelligent, I would say. Like, it's very difficult to find these kind of qualities all in one person. The way you think about life, about money, about how you should look at relationships. You're very unique and very different in the way you operate life. And that's what shows. But thank you so much for coming on the show. All right, guys, on that note, I'll see you in the next one.